we just raised sales taxes again. It's as though it's the middle of winter and you're sitting in your living room and your furnace is turned all the way up, but your window's wide open and you're wondering why you're freezing cold. Well, the solution isn't to turn your furnace up higher. The solution is to close your window, because that's where the waste is occurring. And on a municipal level, reducing waste, eliminating waste, fraud, abuse, and mismanagement is the responsibility of a city controller. So I won't go any further.
I got a question.
Sure.
I got a question.
Yes.
Tell me why, if you could, every time the city gets a little financial problem, the first thing that comes from City Hall is firemen and police.
I can tell you 2 reasons why. One reason is police and fire are, under their contracts, not able to strike. They're forced into binding arbitration. So when the city comes up with essentially a bad idea, like raise taxes again, it gives you the choice. Raise taxes even higher, or accept drastic cuts to police and fire. And police and fire cannot strike. I mean, they're you know, despite the sacrifices that they make for the city, they're used as a
bargaining chip.
I'm sorry?
Bargaining chip?
A bargaining chip or some sort of leverage to convince us again and again that the solution is always to raise taxes, to borrow more money, and this time, on top of everything else, they're going to balance the budget by raiding the city's pension fund, by not paying into it for 2 years, which is already underfunded by more than 50%. Took decades and decades to underfund the city's pension fund, and that's really what's consuming all the new tax revenue coming in, is to make up for the city's underfunded pension fund. So, you know, an underfunded pension fund is at the core of what's wrong with the city's finances, and the solution they came up with was to underfund it further for 2 years and make threats of upcoming police and fire. But our binding arbitration is really the reason why they're again and again put in this position. Yes, sir.
Considering the fact that raising taxes and approving a bond issue to go on the ballot in a referendum is the purview of City Council, how much influence can a City Controller have on that?
Well, as for the bond issue, the mayor's office forgot to submit that to the city commissioner's office. So that bond issue will not be on the ballot because they forgot.
Oh yeah, that's right, I remember that.
That's right. And initially, the first choice for closing the budget deficit was to borrow more money. And the lending agencies downgraded our city's credit rating and said, you can't borrow the money, or you have to borrow it at just an extremely high interest rate. The city controller doesn't have the authority to lower your taxes, or raise your taxes, or cut your services, or increase your services. It's only about eliminating wasteful spending. And our city has a tremendous amount of wasteful spending in non-core services.